Hi there, today I've got quite an interesting video to share with you regarding the Noah Presgrove case, and it consists of two features which will be of your interest, so make sure to stick around to find out regarding one little surprise. The first part of this video, what we're going to be taking a look at are the responses and conversations at the time of when the case unfolded in 2023, and it's by the locals, people who may know Noah Presgrove, or just simply from roughly in the area. As some of you will know, the map analysis which I did yesterday, I was wondering, is there anyone living nearby that might have seen or heard something? Any locals, what do they have to say? Well, I was able to find conversations regarding that with those people, and the fact that they have been attacked as well back then by the party goers, supposedly. It's very interesting. I'm going to share with you the photos today. I'm going to read them out, analyse, give you my thoughts on the matter. For everybody watching right now in the live premiere, welcome. Share your thoughts and reactions in the live chat box. And in general, for anyone watching at any point, leave your comments and thoughts down below. And if you do have any questions, I can always respond back, okay? Down below, you'll find a pinned comment by me if you want to check that out. And if you simply want to catch up on my recent and latest coverage on the Noah Presgrove case, including a very detailed, unique map analysis of the death of Noah, from last night, the video is available, top right corner of the screen. Click on that eye symbol and you'll be able to catch it from there. But right now, we need to focus in on more conversations via Facebook. It was reposted onto Reddit, and that's what we look at first. Then later on in this video, don't go anywhere, I'm going to be doing, which I've not done for a long time now, is a recreation, a creative recreation, deconstruction of the cause of death of Noah, and the for and against arguments regarding hit and run and some other themes as well as to what happened at that moment, at that time. I'm going to share it to you today visually, so don't go anywhere. Without further ado, let's begin this video and begin analysing. On screen, you can see the screenshots. There are quite a few of them. Now, I do have the aspect ratio vertical this time round. It will make more sense when I do click on those screenshots in just a second. But as for the explanation of the post, the caption, old Facebook post from locals. These posts were made by locals within a month or two of Noah's death. From what I can tell, they were being attacked and gaslighted from the very beginning, but they thought something nefarious was going on way before the ME report came out and the rest of the world caught wind of this case. So for locals to be attacked and gaslighted, who by exactly? Will we find out? Those doing the attacking and gaslighting, is it because they're the ones responsible? Whenever you get resistance, when someone may be onto something or close to the truth, about to reveal something, who knows, or has knowledge, maybe it's a sign of some sort. So let's just click here. As you can see, it's much more zoomed in now. Hopefully you can see. Unfortunately, the names are blanked out, but maybe that's done out of respect or privacy. You can also see the date of when they were posted. So, as example on screen, October 19th, 2023. As we know, Noah Presgrove was found dead September the 4th, 2023. So some time has passed by, in fairness. It reads here, one of the locals, I'm assuming, in what way did I point fingers at anyone today? I'd like to know. I was speaking in a general sense. If I hated Noah and we were never friends, do y'all really think I would be taking all this heat from him? It's almost as if no one else is allowed to have been his friend besides one person. Why are we making it a competition? Why are we bringing up my past and downing me just because I'm seeing right through the lies? In what way does that get him justice? I don't get it, man, but all I can do is hope for the truth to come out soon. We miss you, buddy. Keep looking down on us. Hoping for the truth to come out soon. Well, at this moment in time, it's 2024. Quite some time has passed by. The truth still hasn't quite come out yet, has it? So this person, a friend of Noah Presgrove, I would guess a local then. But how close? How local to the house party or where the body was found at of Noah, I wonder. But to say finger pointing and blaming, I mean, we see that within cases in communities. But, you know, the way this person worded it is a lot more appropriate compared to the likes of the homeowner, where they give a scenario. Let me just read it out to you, just for it to make sense. This blanked individual said, if I really hated Noah and we were never friends, do y'all really think I would be taking all this heat from him? Or for him, I should say. So whilst Noah Presgrove has passed away, this friend of Noah is defending him, trying to seek the truth, but in the process getting attacked from all angles from whoever out there. That if in the situation this person was never friends with Noah and may have hated him, would this guy really be taking all this abuse, criticism, negativity? No, right? So they're stating the obvious based on an alternative scenario. This is appropriate wording. This is a good example of what the homeowner should have took on board. Different situation, but the homeowner, in more so recent times, saying that, you know, if we, the parents, are so evil, you know, on the basis that if we were responsible for the death of Noah, we would have done a better job in disposing of him. That's a fact. Why would you even say that? That is so suspicious. But this friend here, they're just wording it in a normal way. Nothing odd, nothing strange. They're not digging themselves into a hole. They're being honest without being dodgy. That's good to see. Now, I don't know if the response, maybe the response is from another person, unless it's an attachment from the original poster. But blanked face, blanked name again, saying, listen up, young lady. The courage it took to stand your ground and not let your past become the issue. A lot of us were very impressed. Consider the source, brush off your shoulder, toss your hair back and keep looking ahead. You got this. Also, keep in mind the things they're lashing out about and the things they're not lashing out about. So, whoever these people are in the background, what they're being defensive about could be stuff they feel is getting too close to the truth. And what they're not lashing out about doesn't concern them. So it's kind of like when you're doing fishing, you got the bait in, it starts attracting everything, it all comes closer, starts tugging. It's kind of like that when you get too close to the truth within a case. Similar situation. So this local, or at least friend of Noah, is a female of a younger age, maybe 18, 19 or something, possibly. That they've been attacked, there's been resistance. But the interesting thing is something to do with their past. Now, what has their past got anything to do with the Noah Presgrove case? Now, when it came to the Sebastian Rogers case in recent time, the biological father, known as Seth, supposedly has a bad past, maybe a criminal past. To what extent, I don't know. But people in the case community have decided to drag up the past of Seth and then apply it to the Sebastian Rogers case and imply that Seth is responsible for the disappearance. Maybe because a certain crime committed in the past is similar to what's happened now, or just in terms of the severity of it. If this person's capable of doing something so bad back then, maybe they've reoffended in other ways. Now, does that apply here within the Noah Presgrove case with this, as described, young lady? I don't know, because it doesn't mention exactly what their past is. If anyone does know, feel free to explain or elaborate as to why it could be used as ammunition against them when this person is trying to speak up and stand for Noah. Let's move on to the next slide. This could well be the same post comment thread, right? So in addition, this person says, you are an awesome person. it don't matter the past, it just that past and you learned from it and made it better. So the heck with the ones that can't get past it. That's their problems, not yours. You stay sweet and strong like all your true friends and family know who you are and believe in you and have your back. You hang on to that. As always, see you soon, my friend. We all loved Noah regardless of how close we were to him. Anyone making drama out of it is immature. He was a good man with a good heart and deserved more. Rest in peace, brother. We'll all meet again someday. So these locals or friends of Noah, were these type of people at the party at the time or not? Because whilst I might not know every person's name or initial at the party at the time where Noah was, how it's been described, the stories and the contradictions made, I wouldn't know who to trust at that party, personally. Moving on, we've got another post here, and by the profile picture, I'm not sure if that's the person called Roy from like a screenshot we saw in recent time. It's just because of that profile picture, I can see like a bit of a reddish or orange jacket, unless that's maybe a profile pic to honour Noah himself. I'm not too sure. But October 18th, it says, who drives 2 carloads of kids to see their friend laying dead on the side of a road? Exactly. It seems like, oh, let's go to the latest tourist attraction today. Round up. There's your friend, mangled on the ground with a scalp torn off and teeth laying about. Oh, why not pick up a tooth whilst you're at it and then chuck it out of your pocket next to the body? Because that's like how it's been worded recently with that first responder, if you remember. So at the time back then, whoever this person was, questioning why would any of the friends of Noah Presgrove go on down to the area, load them up. Now, for and against arguments. One way you could look at it is out of pure shock. They don't believe it. They need to see it themselves in person because it's hard to swallow the news of what's happened. Maybe as a form of paying respect, but just early on to honour Noah and think, oh no, what's happened? Now, what about the against arguments? Heading on down there just to see what people are talking about in case there's any suspicion, in case anyone's on to them, if they are responsible. Heading on down to see if the job was done successfully and the damage. Was he finished off? Sometimes people return back to the scene just to make sure that the person is dead, right? So they're like some for and against arguments, in case you're wondering. There appears to be some email there. I don't know if that's to do with the name of the person that posted the Facebook post or not. But there you go, justice for Noah. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think it's normal for shortly afterwards the friends of Noah Presgrove to be driven on down in loads to just look and glare at the body on the floor? I mean, sometimes it's that of much of a shock and can be that upsetting that you don't want to see it because it could scar you for the rest of your life, especially if it's gory as well. If people have a hard enough time anyway simply identifying a body when it's one of their own loved ones or someone that they know, then what makes you think a person would want to see a body fresh, right, dead? Who? No one wants to see that. Unless you might enjoy it for other reasons or you're responsible. Moving on. What do we have here? So it looks like older people, a family, based off the profile picture. A couple with kids. I guess another local. They say, a very sick human being. So this comment thread is a follow-up. Come on, work. That comment thread is a follow-up from this post here asking who would take a load of kids down to see their friend laying dead on the ground. And the response was from the first person was a very sick human being. Now, yeah, the person transporting and driving the others down to the location, well, the people that were being transported, I guess, had the choice to get in the vehicle themselves or stay at the party. And because everyone all made a choice to head on down, they're all responsible if you wanted to highlight them as being sick. And that response was to Rhonda J. Mitchell Miller. So I guess that's what the comment is above. Another person says, "This is sickening. Those people were making a statement to keep mouths closed." I wonder, so everyone who's all in on it and the additional ones that may have not been responsible but could have been a witness, let's all head on down to get our stories straight. Let's all take a look at the body to make sure we're all in agreement for whatever. Who knows? Another comment here. No one compassionate or has a heart would do something like that. Someone needs to come forwards and tell the truth. I hope they don't get a minute's rest at night and it's constantly eating away at them. Surely one of those teenagers confided to the parents, and if the parents knows, they're just as guilty for not saying anything. True. Now, there was a bit of talk about that within the Riley Strain case. The fraternity brothers, the friends of Riley Strain, that just let him walk home and then die, unknown to them, and the lack of urgency to report it to the police. About 8 hours passed by. Oh, and then they decided to report it to the police. That's clever, isn't it? Not being that cooperative either afterwards. Attending a party the next day when the family, the parents were worrying, going from hospital to look for him. Then the friends get back, pass by the family and say, "Hey, we're having a good time," waving and laughing. Is that what friends do? They just suddenly forget what's happened to one of their key members or friends. They just move on like that. It's questionable. I guess the same applies here as well, in a way. Now, in terms of people keeping quiet, those who keep quiet can be just as guilty. Yeah. When it came to that Idaho 4 case with Brian Kohberger, whether Brian Kohberger is 100% guilty or not, I've not followed the case since. There was unknown DNA from 3 unknown males that were at the scene of the crime. At the time of it happening, afterwards or before, there was unknown DNA found, and even a glove. Were those people ever followed up? No. It was like a dead end. But the fact that there were 3 males at that place around the time of the deaths of the 4 students, why are they keeping so quiet? Why have they not come forward? Why have they not said anything? That level of silence is likely because they are responsible, or they did see something, but they're not allowed to speak up, or they want to keep themselves safe. Let's move on. This one. Teenagers, hormones, alcohol, narcotics, guns, jealousy equals any answer. Bonus for $100. Parents that want to be friends instead of parents equals question. Right, so one way of summarising it. When it came to the party itself, yeah, teenagers 18, 19 is at the age range, average. A mix of genders as well. Alcohol can impact your mood, good and bad. But to say with narcotics, how do we know people were on drugs at the party? There are some arguments for that, such as on my channel in the comments where people were saying how, well, if you're going to be partying for about 4 days or 3 days, you're going to need to have drugs. But do you really? Because whilst the party lasted 4 to 3 days or so, the likes of Noah Presgrove, who attended it on Saturday, then left on the same day later on to go back home, to sleep, to rest, then the following day return back, party, and then getting into the early hours of Monday, leaving again. Noah had time to recover. Noah had time to eat food, drink, hydrate, repeat, right? So you wouldn't need drugs for that. But what about other people at the party that stayed there all the way through? Maybe, but still, are we saying the party lasted 4 days non-stop, 24/7? Or was there moments, breaks throughout the day, or even going into the night where they actually passed out, slept on the chairs, sofas, beds, wherever, then woke up the next day and started partying all over again? If there are rest breaks in between, you wouldn't need drugs. But if you're doing it 24/7, non-stop, yeah, you might need something to keep you going in different ways, right? To say guns and jealousy, well, we can kind of back that up with the talk about guns in the party house being removed after hearing about the news of the death of Noah, which I still don't understand. Why did that party house have lots of guns on site, on property inside? Were they personal possessions from the home owner, or were the guns brought along by the people coming to the party? Why on earth do you need to take a firearm to a party? That sounds extremely reckless and irresponsible, because if the wrong person comes along with a firearm, they could shoot up everyone. Or if everyone's all okay with one another, but there's a sudden accident with a firearm, possibly misfiring, even if a firearm fell on the ground or dropped, sometimes it can cause a discharge. It can cause it to fire. When it makes contact with the ground, it could shoot someone in the leg, in the foot. It could be very fatal, life-changing. It just seems very stupid to take firearms to a party full of other people of a young age as well. As for the jealousy factor, let me just mention one last thing. As for the gun thing as well, we actually saw an example of a rifle just outside of the house underneath the overhanging roof at the time of when Noah Presgrove joined that party footage, which I believe was taken on a Sunday going into the night, where he was asking BS to slap him. A guy in the background, I don't know if he was called IV or something similar like that in initials, a guy with a cap with a rifle. So it proves that firearms were there. As to how many, I don't know. Now, the factor of jealousy, well, that can be seen from Jack Newton, best friend of Noah Presgrove. Jack Newton has a girlfriend, I believe, called CC, something Coombs. And CC talking with Noah, Jack in the background getting jealous of that. Seen on Saturday, Jack retaliates, has a go at Noah. Noah leaves the party. And then, in a way, making things up, Jack calls Noah back the next day to come back to the party on a Sunday. Then later on into the night, another argument breaks out. And around the time of when Noah was being washed down in a shower from some kind of little incident of a car flipping over, supposedly an ATV, with Noah wanting to go to sleep, I guess, maybe tired, but sleep in one of the girls' bedrooms with the chance of sleeping with the girl as well. Yeah, jealousy there from Jack. And in that situation, you could understand that. It's like the best friend going behind the other person's back. It's kind of not right. So, yeah. The way this person has worded it there in this post is basically saying this plus that plus this, it's a recipe for disaster, danger. Let's move on. Right, so this is quite a long one. October 19th, day later. I've tried really hard to stay calm and stay focused, but it's starting to wear on me. I don't understand what someone's past has to do with fighting for justice for a young man that was killed and left on the side of a road like a piece of trash. If everything was on the up and up out there that night, why all the lies, why all the BS? And another thing, whilst I'm at it, I'm seeing these young people being attacked for standing up for Noah. I've seen the same young people out hanging flyers, giving up their time to fight for Noah, and instead of his so-called friends, I guess at the party, fighting for him, they're attacking the ones that are. Kiss my beep. If you're not flying Noah, best step aside and stay out of my way, because I'm done with the BS. Noah Presgrove was murdered. He was left on the side of the road. Noah didn't deserve this, nor does his family deserve the pain of not knowing they deserve the truth. And all you little cowards that want to hide, that's on you, and you will answer for it. This person seems to be maybe of an older age, and they're sick and tired of all the stuff going on, and that dates back to October 19th, 2023, a few months after the death of Noah. So you see how long it's dragged on for. But the fact that there are friends or just people in general that care about Noah, that may know Noah or may not, are putting in more time, more effort in spreading awareness, trying to find the truth. But in doing that, they're getting attacked by the people who are at the party around Noah at the time of his disappearance. That's weird. So the true friends of Noah that were around him on the day he went missing, they're the ones that have caused the most trouble. They're the ones that have attacked all the outsiders. Why is that? What's wrong with the breakdown in communication? It's not even necessary for any of that to happen. The more a person becomes volatile, the more a person snaps and the more defensive they are, it's likely because they're hiding something. And when it comes to levels of aggression and negativity and resistance, it's like a self-defense mechanism trying to push people away, trying to scare people off because people are getting too close to the land of truth. Oh, this must be an additional point as well. Okay, Noah Presgrove was murdered. He was left on the side of the road. Noah didn't deserve this, nor does his family deserve the pain of not knowing. They deserve the truth. Yeah, we saw that. And then down below, responses. This person says, so sad. This has gone on long enough. Someone needs to tell what happened and let this family begin to heal. My prayers for the family. Donna Bond, you're doing a good job. Ignore all the haters. Right, so that's one name. That's shown up now. And Keelea Lindsay Hun Yu. I don't know what that means. Another post. This is absolutely nothing Noah could have done that would have deserved to be killed and left on the side of a road like trash. So I don't want to hear any more pitiful excuses. You people are not the victims, so get stuffed. And that was October 10th, 2023. Down below, what the heck? They can find a shooter within a week or so, but I cannot find who beat the hell out of Noah and killed his ass. Come on, Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Now, was there any cameras on the highway? Any surveillance cameras, I wonder? Maybe I can take a look sometime. I get sworn to go to wherever it happened at, but I didn't do warrants on the house at the party. Just see where this happened at. Come on, Oklahoma. Right. Next page. Oh, this is a bit of a long one. September 19th, 2023. If I just zoom on in just a little bit. Oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea because it's kind of messed up now. Zoom in just a little bit more. Hopefully it's clear enough. I'll zoom out in a second. Person says, I am so tired of seeing these so-called adults arguing like toddlers over Noah's death, trying to act like they want justice for him when in reality they're just covering their own asses along with their kids. Right, so is this to do with the adults, the parents of the kids who were at that party at the time? The adults being protective of their own children, even if it means hiding the truth, I wonder. It goes on to read, maybe don't let your kids think it's okay to go out and drink whilst underage and they won't end up in situations like this. Maybe don't go out and party, supply alcohol with them either. That sure as hell doesn't help. Our parents are supposed to protect but also guide us to make the right decisions on our own. Mine did a great job at that. I see other kids unfortunately don't have that kind of role model. Noah's death was no accident. We can all stop playing dumb. Quit disrespecting Noah, his family and real friends by trying to cover what happened. His family and real friends. Right, okay. Might as well be spitting on his grave right now. If y'all really cared about him and don't feel guilty, y'all wouldn't be sneaking around walking on eggshells, lawyering up or telling your own kids not to talk to investigators. Grow the hell up. This isn't child's play. This is one of the most purest and kindest of souls that had his life taken. We are talking about. He shouldn't have died, but sadly he did. What I won't allow is his cause of death to be covered up by adults. Adults, mind you. How sad is that? With that being said, the truth will always come out, and I hope everyone that was involved is charged immensely. We love you, Noah Presgrove, and we won't stop fighting for you. Right, can I zoom out? Will it let me zoom out? I don't know. There we go. I just had to do that. Wow, very interesting. September 19th. So this is actually even earlier, much closer to the death of Noah Presgrove. September 4th and this being 19th. Not that far apart. Very interesting. If we move on, the responses below that post read, notice how you're the only one who posted a non-supporting comment on here. Why are you so defensive? Do you feel this is directed towards you? If I remember, I didn't say names. I just thought you might like to see how many people are fighting for Noah since you're the biggest advocate of us all. I don't know who that is. Something Milan, RM. Is that one of the persons at the party? Because I remember a name called Milan came up in the case. Nevertheless, someone below says, shit, try it please. No drama here, girly. I've been sharing this post to everyone, not just your mommy. I'm sorry, I should have thought about you too. Didn't even know your sister was there today. She should have said hi. Is this positive or something? Let's just see. I'm sorry, I should have thought about you too. Didn't, okay. No need to be worried about me, but the fact that all of you guys are so offended by me wanting justice for Noah post is a little weird. Renee Milan, far from it. Oh, well, there we go. That's a name popped up. If you read the post as a whole, the point is his murder not being covered up justice in a roundabout way. And then what's this? Try getting my daughter to your house. We can meet up. Why? Arianna Anderson. It's actually a homicide now, not a hit and run. That's already been ruled out. But hey, we all knew that. Some people wanted it to be a hit and run so bad, didn't they? And Noah, so-called friends, didn't post hardly anything about trying to find a car that supposedly hit him. How weird is that? Maybe because they already knew it wasn't a hit and run. That's pretty much well said, right? If the friends and the party goers were adamant that it was a hit and run, well then surely they should have been really determined to try and get the justice and find the vehicle, unless they're responsible for the hit and run, or it just didn't happen. So there's no point in trying to search for it because it doesn't exist. One way or another, it kind of highlights that the friends aren't being helpful and are somewhat suspicious in how they're behaving. Because if you really cared, more action would be taken, and yet they're not. So what else do we have here? In response to Renee Milan, again, just wanted you to see how many people are fighting for him. I don't see how I'm wanting attention when I'm trying to direct that towards Noah's death. What's wrong with doing good for Noah? Isn't that the whole point? Weird that you down people for doing that. I also don't know where him not liking me came from, considering you never even talked to him. His so-called friends are the ones who did this to him. This isn't drama, like I said in my previous post. It's real, in case you didn't catch that. Okay, let's move on. Dang, I can't see anything from them as they're all blocked me. But from reading your post, that's exactly what they do. Attack you for trying to speak the truth. Apparently, she told several kids not to talk to any investigators. The cops had to go looking for almost every kid at the party. They are Noah's friends, but they didn't even tell all the people who was there. How sad is that? Yet they claim justice for Noah. They're guilty. If my son was there, I would take him to the police station to tell them everything and give up his phone. Yet they're all hiding and they still can't find several kids. And several kids still claim they were not there even though they are on camera or pictures. Sad. What about justice for Noah? They should all be charged too. Fair point. I think the other reason why maybe there was a level of quietness back then, maybe it could still apply now to an extent, is because a couple of the people that attended the party weren't even invited, as like the homeowner said in a recent post. So maybe they didn't want their identities blown, because if uninvited people came on over anyway, is that because they were underage? And they may have been drinking and engaging in other activities, and they didn't want to be caught out or exposed for that because they would get in trouble. I wonder. Or is it because they were of an older age around younger people? I wonder. Moving on. Actually, does it continue on from the... Oh, sugar. Hold on. Now think about this. Yeah, it's the same thing. That's okay. Let me just reset the page. Now, think about this. If this was really and truly a hit and run, why is everyone running and hiding and claiming they weren't there and deleting everything from that night? I know why. Because they're all guilty of something. Either the assault, witnessing, or cleaning the house. They're all guilty, even the parents covering it up. They want to fight? Send them my way. I'm ready to bang for Noah Presgrove, all of them. And I guess when they say I'm ready to bang, more so in fight physical. And then there's someone there agreeing, yes, please. If this really and truly was a hit and run, why is everyone running and hiding and claiming they weren't there and deleting everything from that night? The bit about deleting everything from that night, it came up in recent time by a key person in this case who knows a lot from my channel in the discussion that the ones at the party, they were deleting things from their phone, text messages, videos. Is that because they may have got in trouble for taking drugs or maybe drinking and they're underage? Maybe. Or could it be text messages, call logs, anything that could be of incriminating evidence within the case? Possibly, right? Cleaning up their traces, their tracks. Now, are these partygoers of an age where they would be like a mastermind in covering things up and cooperating with one another? I just find that hard to believe, but, you never know. Anyway, next part of the comment thread said, well said and absolutely the truth. Everyone knows the truth except those trying to cover it up. Charge them all. For everyone saying his real friends, well, where the hell are they? We've been waiting 3 weeks for these friends to stop being scared and come forward with information. They still are running around living life, whilst Noah will never get that chance. So please tell me where his real friends are, because real friends would want justice no matter the cost. Real friends would have never let this happen. You've got to be kidding me. Right after what you told these kiddos, you still want to come in and run your mouth and just, what do you mean bite off more than she can chew? What the hell's that in response to? Moving on. Let me guess the next thing that comes out from them is that it was a total accident and we panicked and didn't know what to do. Or Noah was the bad guy. Yeah, right. Hope y'all get the hammer. You had your chance to do the right thing no matter how bad. Go tell this family what you did and make it right. Truth and justice for Noah. That's exactly what's going to happen. Just more excuses and lies, but consequences will come. So people watching right now, would you say more consequences and more lies have come about since 2023? Let me know. Next one. What's this? So in response to Justin Roy, that's one of the persons we heard about earlier on in previous videos. But here, some person, I think maybe a female, says, everyone needs to be charged. Every kid and adult present, along with every adult that supplied alcohol and drugs. Where's the evidence of drugs being supplied, though? I don't remember seeing or hearing that. Along with the person that allowed these kids to party on their property. The property owner should be charged. Arrested. Right along with every parent telling their kids not to talk to investigators. Another thing, how the hell do you feel good about yourself running around telling everyone it was a hit and run and saying other false things, when in fact that was not the case? We all know it. There's a difference between protecting your child and then covering up their involvement with a homicide. Yeah. Whose house was everyone at? Arrested the host owners of the home. Is that it? Of this thread? I think it could be. It's not working now. It's not responding. Yeah. That's the end there. What were the comments like? Looks like the locals know exactly what happened. Please place a timeline where the 18-wheeler and other white pickup trucks comes into play, because that's where I base my boundaries of the story. Screenshots within a month or so of Noah's passing gives an idea of the suspicion that locals had early on. So the locals in general were basically thinking that the partygoers and the so-called friends of Noah are responsible or hiding, covering things up, and the parents of those kids are no better. That's a summary from there. We should just use initials as we have been. Yeah. Why strike the people's names who make the statements regardless of the accuracy? Those individuals have the right to make their statements and be seen for who they are. If they're wrong, it's on them, but the hiding of their identity from public post is quite confusing. I understand your point. I felt the same. Why the heck can't I just share the screenshots of a comment from a public page? Well, it's Reddit's rules in their platform. There's nothing we can do about it. Right, so in those screenshots, what we saw where the names were blanked out, that's because of the rules on Reddit. You start revealing, I guess, certain information, the post will get taken down. So it's kind of stupid, but that's Reddit for you. It's a bit of a silly place at times with the regulations and rules. So now we transition onto the deconstruction, the reconstruction of the for and against arguments behind the death of Noah Presgrove. You might be confused as to what is on screen, but I will explain that to you bit by bit. So on the right, we've got like the officers, the police guys. Although they don't show up immediately, I just thought I would add them in case they're needed when talking, okay? As I said, they're not directly to scale, but hopefully you get the idea behind what I'm doing here. What I do want to make very, very clear, this is not messing about. This is an actual serious reconstruction, trying to understand the events. Besides me doing my theories and my ideas via the map, I thought, let's do it with the items that I've got. I've got a vehicle in the background, which could have been used if we're going down the hit and run. Now, from what we've seen within those text messages, and from what's been mentioned officially in recent time, hit and run ruled out, well, I can kind of demonstrate as to why it was ruled out. But it don't mean to say that the car had no role. There are other ways to be killed by a vehicle. Take in mind, this may not be an ATV, nor is it, you know, some kind of American vehicle. I'm just using what I've got. So it's not 100% accurate, but it's the best I can do at this moment. As for this, not to scale, not the correct clothing, but this was the closest I could get to a representation of Noah Presgrove, only because, can you see on like the arms, there's blood, and even on the head as well. So it looks like there's a bleed on the head. Now, this is like a medic, but as I said, it's the closest I could get to a person that looks injured. And then we can go through it bit by bit through the autopsy report from what we've already heard, okay? As for the horse, that will make more sense later. So, back here, with the exception of one with female hair, that's supposed to be a female in red. The other guys are like the party goers. You know, the ones that were at the house party? Now, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 guys here. 5 guys. I have heard that Dale can relate to that situation, but that's for another day, another story. But what I've tried setting the scene up as, let's say the backdrop is the house. Just imagine the house is in the background. And if there was a confrontation, if there was any arguments with Noah Presgrove and Jack, what could it have led to? Now, do we have an example of someone who could have been Jack? Yeah, let's just use this as a brief example. Just imagine this is Jack, okay? What's he doing holding that item? Well, not to directly represent him being responsible for the death of Noah, but this is like an example item of a blunt instrument, like a bat, a baseball bat that could have been used against Noah at a certain point, if it's not down to the vehicle itself. So if you had, oh God, this is the only awkward bit when it comes to these type of things because they keep falling over. Forget about the height difference. Just imagine that's Noah and that's Jack having a go at one another, and supposedly Noah is the one who's leaving the property. As he's walking away, maybe some people from the party gather outside to see what the commotion is, or maybe they don't, but they could appear later, because there clearly was an audience at the time when they were driven on down to the scene of the crime, where basically Noah was dead. Maybe some of the police guys were present, checking out the situation, and those were ordered to go back. What was it? Some kind of tourist attraction? Like what we saw earlier on in this video, when it came to the Facebook stuff. And some of the comments made have said, why did those people get loaded up to the scene to look at Noah? What was the point of that? Okay, so I'm just going to move the police guys out the way for now because they weren't at the scene at the time of when the events were unfolding. Okay, Noah, say he's still alive up to a certain point in time. Now, if we're talking about hit and run, how was that being portrayed originally before it was ruled out? A hit and run, possibly some kind of accident, but then the people felt too guilty to stop and see if he was okay, so they drove off. Then the party goers found Noah, but didn't do anything. Don't quite make sense. The other concept that was being put across was some kind of hit and run in which at any point, anywhere, maybe more so on the highway, because that's where roads would be going, or if not, the dirt road, and the vehicle's coming along like that, and it knocks him over like that. And it could have been some of the party goers, some of the people at the party driving the vehicle, maybe drunk, maybe not, and they were driving along and decided, well, not decided, maybe accidentally, it depends how you look at it, and then hit him and then fell over. Okay. Now, if that really was the case, it would make more sense as to why they didn't do anything and they kept quiet. That's one concept. But this is where we rule it out right now. Okay. So when it came to the autopsy report, okay. Oh shit. When it came to the autopsy report, now, obviously, it's not the correct figure, but it's just as a representation. Came to the autopsy report that said that the ribs, 10 of which were broken. So when it came to Noah, passed away, there, autopsy done. One example was 10 ribs were broken. When it came to the left-hand side of the face, the eye, the eyebrow, cuts and grazes. When it came to the lip, inside of the mouth, the tongue, there was like, what do you call it, cut marks. Then you had internal bleeding within the head, the skull, inside of the skull, the brain, blood coming out of the ears, damage to the spine, the vertebrae, the very top point, and a bit lower down as well. It's basically overkill. A lot of damage was dealt to Noah. Concept was he beaten down? More likely beaten down by multiple individuals. So the autopsy report was quite clear and apparent that something bad did happen, and likely it wasn't an accident. So with that being said, we work back from that and the damage sustained. So the reason why it wouldn't be a hit and run is because the autopsy report stated there was really no real damage done to the arms or the legs. You could say there's an exception with Noah Presgrove's fingers, but I didn't see it mentioned within the article, the official article or news recently. But some people were stating how online that when it came to Noah Presgrove, his hands, even though you can't see, just for example, that one there, will it focus in? His hands, some of his fingers were worn down to the bone, as if he was grabbing on for dear life. What would you be grabbing on to that hard, which could cause some kind of tension or friction, which would wear your fingers away to the point where bone is possibly exposed or skin has been shredded? What would actually cause that? Holding on to a moving vehicle, being dragged along the floor. This is where the car does come involved shortly, so stick around for that. But to return back to a simple hit and run, let's say there were people present. Maybe they were involved or not. The reason why it wouldn't have been a hit and run, due to the main factor being the legs weren't damaged, the arms weren't damaged. When you think of a car, what's the first thing that's going to hit you and where's it going to make contact? The front of the car, because normally you drive forwards. Some people may drive in reverse, but you're driving forwards like that, okay? the lower part here, which sticks out the most as it droops down. You got the hood, you got the bonnet, you got the grille, okay? That's what makes contact first with a person during a hit and run or some kind of accident. Now, depending on the height of the person, that is obviously an important factor. I'm not quite sure what height Noah Presgrove was, but of a certain height, likely, if you get hit by a vehicle, it's going to be the legs that get it first. Now, there are exceptions depending on the type of vehicle that could hit you. If it's a truck, if it's a bus, you're not going to be rolling over it as you would with a car like this. If it was a pickup truck, possibly. So just get where I'm coming from. Vehicle comes on in. Am I able to zoom on out? Kind of. I'll probably zoom back in a second, okay? Vehicle coming on by, makes contact with Noah, hits the leg, which causes him to flip up like this, as it would in like a film, then rolls over the glass, right, as the vehicle's still moving, rolls over there and falls down on the ground. I'll just do that one more time to try and make it a bit more smooth. Driving along, boom, makes contact with the lower part of the body, which then flings the person over like that, hits the windshield, the screen, then proceeds to roll over, and then hit the floor like that. Let's go back into that because it impacts the quality of the zoom out. Car, maybe it stops, person gets out, see what the commotion is. I don't have like an example of anyone. Someone gets out the vehicle, or maybe they don't, and they just drive on, and then that's it. And then at some point, because it all depends where it happened, do we honestly think that Noah was walking down the highway, so where his body was found, that's where he was hit? Well, there wasn't enough blood there, so maybe he got hit, hurt, killed elsewhere, right? So if that was the situation, whether it was staged or not, foul play or not, or an accident, then the person turned criminal by leaving the scene. If partygoers were involved, they could have come on in. Maybe not Jack, but some of the others could have come on in, got in the vehicle, and then bundled Noah into the back. Okay, it won't fit in, but put him into the back of the car, drove off up the highway, and then disposed of Noah there, right? So that was one concept. How true is it? Unfortunately, there's just not enough evidence to reinforce it. You know, if there was a vehicle found which had lots of blood on the back seat, then you could say, well, someone's bundled Noah into the back seat and then disposed of him further up the highway. Though, you think about it, 2023 onwards to now 2024, a lot of DNA and evidence would have been long gone by now, which is very unfortunate, okay? So, hit and run, not possible due to the fact that the autopsy report said that there was no damage done to his legs, side of his, you know, near to the waist area. It was all upper body, from the chest area where the ribs are and round the back upwards to the head where the most damage was done. So if all the damage was concentrated upper body, it would have meant that his legs and to an extent his arms didn't make contact with either the ground or an object. So an object was directed at upper body only. Well, then you could think there was some kind of beating, right? We could recreate that right now. Also, it depends who was involved. Now, I did say that this was Jack, okay? Maybe it could be another party goer, someone known, or it could be a stranger who was randomly invited. Now, I know this person's holding a plunger, but just use your imagination. Imagine this is a baseball bat, some kind of blunt instrument, and it's been used against Noah. That's just an example. As for these guys back here, either you imagine that as some kind of drink, as to drinking alcohol, or even some kind of object to use against Noah. So there was an argument outside of the house, or the argument was following out of the house as he was leaving, walking away, whether it be an ambush or direct confrontation. You could have had a couple of individuals, friends or not, known or strangers, unwelcomed guest, who could have confronted him, whacked him over the head like that, and then just continued to do that. And then the same here. The thing what you got to remember, most of the damage done up top. So if we just move around the corner, the audio might change into one ear because I'm on the right hand side of the screen. I'm off screen. So if it sounds like it's only coming out of one ear, the audio isn't broken. I'm just over here, okay? I don't know if you saw my face then. I don't know if you can see me, but as I said, this is supposed to be serious, okay, in case you're wondering. Let's just put these guys back here. Put them over there. Confrontation. How many guys then? Well, when we saw that text message, it was about, what was it, like 5 guys or something? I wonder why 5 guys comes up. Interesting number. Like that. Could have been surrounding him possibly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Surrounded by people from the party. That's Noah eventually turning bloodied and battered. Whether it be an attack from behind, a cowardly attack, or from the front. Obviously, what likely would have happened on that basis, knocked to the ground, like that. For damage to be caused on the back of the neck, broken neck, spinal injuries, severe, would have been like repeatedly bashing on the back of the person's head to cause damage, of course. Repeatedly bashing the lower part of the spine, like that. Multiple people joining in, switching and changing possibly between the different people. Maybe kicking, you never know. Kicking on the side, stamping down on the person. Possible curb stomp, because it said that teeth were missing and cracked. If the person's already face down, near to ground, the person could lift him up and then slam him down, or just simply stomp on his head. And that would obviously cause further injury to the back of the skull, the side, and near to the jaw muscle where you had the injury sustained, and then the beginning of the internal bleeding, okay? Obviously, enough force would have been needed to cause such damage, but if you do have instruments and items like this, a bat, a pole, repeatedly smashing down, it would do some damage. If at a certain point, right? Because if there was some kind of beating, we don't know if he fell down to the ground face down or his face up. But either way, he may have rolled about, grabbing on for dear life, trying to protect himself, right? Because it's just sudden. Could be rolling about whilst being kicked, like that. And the rest of the guys are just constantly going at it repeatedly. Maybe one after another, or all at the same time, right? Like that, all laying into him, to the point where when they've done, as the dust settles, lifeless, no longer moving, all that damage sustained. If that was the case, and likely not at the highway, but away from that spot because of the lack of blood, then it seems like Noah would have been put into a vehicle possibly, and let's just say driven on down to the highway. And once getting to the highway here, as the guys could be in the back of the vehicle, inside, Noah kicked out to the side of the highway here, driven on. And then fast forward onwards when a truck driver came along at 5:30 a.m, I think it was, 5:30 a.m. on the Monday, September 4th, reported it to police. And obviously police came on down eventually. There we go. And whether that be before I think it could have been before the police got down there. I could be wrong, but supposedly Jack came on down at 6:05. Jack coming on down to see his friend. Okay. Now, you saw the footage before what I did where I said Jack could have been responsible, maybe, maybe not. It's not guaranteed. These are theories, in case you wonder. So, 5:30, that's when Noah is seen as dead by a truck driver, notifies police and stuff. And then at 6:05, Jack comes on down to see, but then later is pushed away because of the scene, like a crime scene, pushed away, turned back. And then either after that, the rest of the people come on down to have a look themselves, out of respect or darker reasons. But supposedly, it was said that Noah Presgrove's shorts, because take in mind, whilst this isn't the best representation, if this being Noah Presgrove, he wasn't wearing a shirt, but he did have shorts on, and supposedly white shorts. So it's kind of close enough. Forget the apron, as said. No shirt, just shorts. But at the scene of the crime, his shorts weren't on him. They were by the side. He did have shoes on, but they were odd matching ones. They weren't the same. The shorts were nearby, and it was supposedly said that a police guy, an officer, picked up the shorts and then put them near to the body and folded them. Why would you do that? What's the point in that? If those shorts are a piece of evidence, let's just say, if they were a piece of evidence, you just wouldn't touch them. Unless maybe you were about to bag and tag them. You'd be wearing gloves so you don't contaminate the evidence. There's no mention about contamination, so that's something. Could be wrong, but yeah, that's what the supposed story is, that the shorts were folded and put nearby. Some people were telling the story that it was Jack that did it himself. Jack picked up the shorts, folded them nearby, and that was done as a form of guilt. But it's been said recently that a policeman was responsible for doing it. Maybe just bringing the items nearer to the scene of the crime, nearer to Noah's body. But still, there's no need to move the items. You just don't do that. The only time when you start moving items about is when you're bagging, tagging, and you're going to take them down to the labs and, investigate and see what it's all about, right? So that's kind of like how things played out in that basis with that theory. Now, if that wasn't the case, okay, that was the original theory of the hit and run situation. But let's just move about. Let's get these over here. We've ruled out the hit and run, right? Then we use the concept of being beaten to death by blunt instruments, as I've just demonstrated just then, and then the usage of a vehicle to then transport the body to the highway. Why would you do that? To stage it like some kind of hit and run. Not that it did happen, but to make it look like it did. Now, I don't think these people are criminal mastermind, but that for them to be thinking that's what we should do, it sounds like they're experienced in killing in a way. Or maybe they've watched too many shows on TV. Who knows? But is that the first thing that would be coming to your mind? Yes, that's exactly what we'll do. I don't know, it just seems a bit odd, right? Anyway, reverting back to an alternative theory. There's two more theories to get through with the items I've got. So, this involves the usage of a vehicle on the property on site, and it could have been going up and down the dirt road. What's been suggested is, and based off this position as well, that Whether it be a prank gone wrong, and maybe because they're drunk, they're not thinking clearly, was there a possibility, whether it be a prank or a form of revenge, that Noah Presgrove was tied up with rope, attached to the back of a moving vehicle and dragged along the dirt road? I mean, if that was the case, your legs would be off from the ground, wouldn't they? Your legs would be off from the ground. Your back would be dragged across because you'd be, you know, maybe back first or maybe faced first. It depends. You know, when you got your legs up like that, you're being dragged along. Your legs may not make contact with the ground as much as your upper body and your head. And because we know the damage was sustained upper body, that's going to make more contact with the ground. It all depends how the person was tied to, let's say, a moving vehicle. Okay? Now, I'm going to try and attempt it right now. I need to use the rope just to show you what I mean. Okay? This could take a second or two. Share your thoughts, your theories, your ideas, what you think of the situation, and we can go from there. I don't know how successful this will be, if it will be at all, but I've got the rope there. I'm only tying it through the window because that's the only bit I've got. Okay, I've got to go through the leg, loop it slightly, and try and tie it off, and then create a bit of distance behind. Yeah, there we go. Like that. Bit more slack. Yeah, there we go. I appreciate people's patience. This is done raw on the spot. Right, there we go. And as for the remaining rope, I'll have to try and store in the vehicle if that's even possible. Something like that. And then I'll just do the demonstration of like moving the vehicle across so it looks like you can make it out as to what did happen. If something like this did happen, then there's a high chance that the people from the party were responsible. If you wondered where this theory or concept came from, I believe it was last night or the night before. It came to people with their ideas forming. So let me just lift this up if possible. There we go. The horse will come into play afterwards, but I don't know if you can see, but we've been dragged along the vehicle, and if the ground's a bit uneven, you could be bumping across the ground as you're being dragged along. Your face would be scraping across the ground. Now, I know this isn't the best concept because the legs would be touching the ground, but let's just say it was like that at a certain angle. Not your whole body wouldn't be making contact. So, do it from down there. Can you see? Like that. And then if they were driving up and down the road, you get the idea. You see it in movies, you see it in all kinds of stuff being driven about. Like that. And I don't know, like, you got that straight dirt road, haven't you, which goes up to the property and goes a bit further down, which would be facing west. The partygoers could be watching, laughing, joking, thinking it's funny. And Noah could be like, hey, stop, let me go. And then people are like, you need to stop now, it's getting too much. Constantly going round. As I said, it might not be going in circles. I've only got limited space. It could be up and down the dirt road. The main turnabout would be at the house, the property, because you saw the gravelled path or the concrete path as it does like a little donut turn. So it could be driving down, takes a left, back out, and then down. And whilst that's happening, Noah is being repeatedly dragged against the ground, right? Constantly. And if the ground is a bit bumpy, let's just say, making contact with it is going to cause further damage, right? That would explain possibly the hands, the fingers, being ripped to the bone, supposedly. Would it explain the road rash? Yeah, if you've been dragged across the ground. The grazes and cuts, yeah. But to be honest, if Noah wasn't wearing a shirt and he's been dragged across the ground, surely there would be more lacerations, more grazes, much more damage sustained to his upper body, right? And whilst being dragged across the ground is bad and can result in death, would it lead to bones being broken and severe damage to the head and internal bleeding just being dragged across the ground? No, your body would have to bump on uneven surface and maybe even smash against a telegraph pole, right? We've seen them down that dirt road. So if he was being dragged and then the car went at a slight angle and then he just smashed against an item, then that's what could have caused it, possibly. But there was no talk of damage to any vehicles or such as the ATV, like when there was that incident. So there's that. And there was no mention of damage. There's no mention of damage to the property area or the surrounding land. No suspicion there. So that needs to be highlighted as well. So being dragged across the ground could be some kind of sick prank gone wrong and the partygoers responsible for it or witnessing it and then deciding to keep quiet afterwards. And then once Noah has been untied from the vehicle, put in it, driven off down to the highway and dumped on the side, right? But if all that damage and that prank being dragged across the ground occurred at the property, well, there was no blood found there, but there was talk about cleaning up with bleach and maybe even the parents helping after, supposedly. Regardless, cleaning up could mean cleaning the evidence. If anything did happen at the party house or just outside of it, like what I just demonstrated then with the car, you never know, right? Could have been cleaned up, the pool of blood and all of that, and then Noah bundled in a vehicle and then dropped off down to the highway. That's the way. Now, the other concept, final theory, okay? An alternative one, thinking outside of the box, if you want to call it that. First of all, I just need to untie the rope on here. Just quickly, it won't take that long. I'll just narrate as we're going along. The other concept and theory would be, was a horse involved? And that sounds a bit random, doesn't it? What would a horse be doing down there? Well, I'm thinking of farmland. This was a point mentioned by another viewer on my channel, and I'm just trying to understand their perspective as to how something like that could lead to the death of Noah. We're not saying the horse is the prime suspect. We're not saying that classy cult has to go and investigate the horse and ask it questions. This is not a James Brenner, Dylan Rounds, Briscoe situation of the horse knows the answers, so we must go and find it. That is not the case here. But just as a possibility, a concept, could it apply? There we go. Good. I've untangled the situation. So, where's the horse? Right here, okay? Not that it's needed, but when a horse rears up, it's like, sorry, let me just get my throat's a bit dry. When the horse rears up, if it was, panicking, or if someone was on it, riding it, and it reared up and hurt Noah by accident because it was panicking, or possible partygoers were responsible by riding the horse somehow, it would have reared up and it probably would have done like that, and you get the idea. It's a rough idea, but as I said, I'm just trying to make sense of the situation. So Who do we have? Did I even sit on a horse? I don't even know if it does work or not. Yeah, it does. So just imagine someone was riding the horse. Why would they be riding a horse though? It seems very random. But with it being a farm, or at least farmland in the area, my question, and I didn't get an answer yet, but maybe we can debunk it right now. Was there any stables? Are there any horses in any fields nearby? Does the homeowner own a horse? Are there any stables? Anything like that? This is a pre-recorded video, so I will find out after the video has, been uploaded. But just for this moment, if somehow there was a horse present, whether somebody was riding it or not, we'll just keep them on, and Noah was nearby, near to the horse, aware or not, could the horse have either kicked him, does it stand up? Yeah. Could it have reared up like that? Can you see? Reared up and kicked him over like that. Or could it have been the other way? So, when they kick the legs, like that. And to be honest, although people do like horses and etc., things can happen. Things can go wrong. It might be rare, it might not be often, but anything's possible in this world, right? The power of a kick from a horse, pretty powerful. I've seen footage out there, accidental or not, where a horse has kicked someone in the jaw and it's broken their jaw, just like it can break bone, right? So if Noah was too near to a horse and a horse decided to rear up or kick out, the force could have knocked him to the ground, and depending where the kick was, it could have knocked him out immediately, possibly. Would their kick have been to the back to cause spinal injury, the neck to cause a neck break? Probably not. What about the chest there to cause broken ribs? A sudden kick, boom, to the rib, possibly. If a horse was to rear up though, more so it would either flick up like that, so it would uppercut the person's head, or come down and strike down like that. So that's kind of like the concept there. If somebody was riding it and it was done intentional, you can see where this can go. Knocks Noah to the ground and constantly, repeatedly trampling over the body. And when it comes to a horse hoof, because we've got to remember, scalp was ripped off Noah's head. Was it slightly attached at some point? Maybe. But from what I've seen, or what can happen, if a horse did rear up or trample over, that force coming on down could have been like a guillotine in a way, but the hoof, the point, could have caught or just simply catched at a certain angle the head, raining down, skimming, catching against his head or hair, and ripping part of the scalp off, right? As the horse lands down. And then upon constantly trampling over, as you would see maybe in some films or even real life, because there is real life footage of it happening. Normally it tends to be when no one's riding it and if a horse is panicking, right? But if it was done with intent somehow, constantly being trampled over upon like that, and Noah is, trying to grip on for dear life, or at least, defend, protect himself. Oh God, the horse has fallen. What can you do in a situation like that? Not much. So if it jumps down, it could break the ribs like that. The force, the weight of the horse, it could break the ribs. If he was on the other side and the horse was very near to the neck and came down, that could cause a neck break like that. You get the idea. As for the legs though, no damage done down there. And to be honest, if a horse or or like a bull or something was to trample over someone, you thought there would be a bit more damage or at least bruising to the leg, because they would go all over and not just focus on up top only. It'd be like all around. And obviously the autopsy report said his legs were okay. So you could debunk that as well. And even if it wasn't debunking that, you could just simply say, well, there's no horses in the area. There'd be no reason or need to have a horse there, so it's completely out of the picture, just like the hit and run. But I just wanted to provide to you a couple of theories, okay? Not the go-to one, but pre-existing ones which have gone by since, and some new ones along the way. It might still seem basic, but more likely that it was a gang type beating, but by maybe some of the party goers. Did they have an agenda? Did they have hatred? Did they have jealousy? Was it orchestrated, coordinated? Who knows? But maybe that one makes the most sense at the moment. Just let me know your thoughts down below. Hopefully you found this video interesting and you understood from my perspective as to why I did what I did just now. If you did join late, be sure to rewind back to the start of this video so you can catch up about the news and the archived messages, comments made in the past by locals in the area. If you simply want to catch up on recent videos by me of this case, click on the I symbol top right corner of the screen, and there'll be some other links as well down below in the comment section if you want to check them out. We'll leave it there for now. Appreciate your patience. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.